Security Chief Kale Rith stretched his for appendages and adjusted his position in the ergonomic hovering chair, his purple scales shimmering under the soft blue glow of the monitoring screens. Another mundane cycle on Navras Prime's most advanced security hub, Sentinel Nexus. He clicked his mandibles together, a habit his subordinates had learned to recognize as boredom. Status report, he announced to the room of 10 security analysts, each from a different species of the interstellar Concord. Their attention remained fixed on their respective monitoring stations, processing countless data streams from across the sector. All systems nominal, Chief, reported Senior Analyst Lena VOR, her translucent antennae pulsing with each word. The quantum surveillance grid is operating at 99.999% efficiency. No anomalies detected in the past 47 cycles. Vaxon suppressed a yawn. Sentinel Nexus was the pride of the Interstellar Concord security forces, a network of billions of nanosensors spread across the station, coupled with predictive AI and quantum entanglement monitoring. Nothing escaped its watchful gaze, nothing could. "Sir," called out Junior Analyst Dax Liren, her crystalline form catching the light. "The behavioral pattern analysis is showing an irregularity in Section 7B. Vaxon's spinal ridge stiffened. Finally, something interesting." Display on main screen. The central holographic display flickered to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the commercial district. A single dot pulsed red among the thousands of green markers, representing the station's inhabitants. Analysis. Vaxon leaned forward, his chair adjusting automatically to his new posture. Subject is moving in a pattern that doesn't match any known species' behavioral algorithms, Bex reported, her fingers dancing across the control surface. "The movement seems random, but our systems are detecting an underlying structure they can't quantify. Species identification." Vaxon's secondary heart began beating faster. After 15 years of service, he had learned to trust his instincts. Something was off. "That's the strange part, sir," Lena VOR interjected, pulling up additional data streams. "According to the biometric scans, it's a human." The room fell silent. Even the ambient hum of the quantum processors seemed to quiet down. Humans were a relatively new addition to the Interstellar Concord, and their presence always meant trouble. Deathworlders, they called them. Beings evolved on a planet that should have killed them 1,000 times over. Probability of threat? Vaxon asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't reassure him. Unable to calculate, Sir Bex responded, frustration evident in her harmonic voice. "The predictive models aren't designed to handle human behavior patterns. They're too chaotic." Vaxon rose from his chair, his full 3-meter height commanding attention. "Initiate Protocol Omega-7. I want every sensor in that sector redirected to track this human. Alert ground teams, but tell them to maintain distance. Observe only." As his team scrambled to comply with his orders, Vaxon felt his scales tingle. The last time a human had displayed unusual behavior on his station, 3 corporate megastructures had to be rebuilt, and the Interstellar Concord's cybersecurity protocols had to be completely rewritten. "And someone get me the human's identification data," he added, mandibles clicking rapidly now. "I want to know exactly who we're dealing with. Sentinel Nexus might be the most sophisticated surveillance system in known space, but Vaxon had learned one universal truth. Humans had a way of making the impossible not just possible, but probable." "Alara Voss," Lena VOR announced, projecting the human's file onto the main display. "Arrived on Navras Prime 3 standard cycles ago. Purpose of visit listed as tourism." Vaxon snorted, a sound that made several junior analysts jump. "Tourism? When has a human ever just been a tourist?" The image showed a female human with dark hair cut in an asymmetrical style, one side longer than the other. Her skin tone was what humans called olive, and her eyes were an unsettling shade of green that seemed to look right through the camera. Her official documentation listed her as a freelance consultant from Earth's Mediterranean Coalition. "Background check," Vaxon demanded, pacing in front of the screens. "That's another anomaly," Sir Dax Liren chimed in, her crystalline form pulsing with confusion. Her records are perfect. To perfect, explain. Well, her documentation shows a standard education path, regular employment history, normal social media presence. But Bex paused, rotating her upper segment in what passed for a shrug among her species. There are no deviations, no parking tickets, no missed payments, no social infractions. It's like someone created the ideal citizen profile. And that's suspicious because double quotes prompted junior analyst Torvin Jex, clearly new to human cases. Vaxen turned to face the young analyst. Because humans are inherently chaotic beings. They make mistakes, they break minor rules. They have unexplained gaps in their histories. A perfect record is more suspicious than a flawed one. The main screen shifted to real-time footage of Alara Voss walking through the commercial district. She moved with a casual grace that seemed almost choreographed, stopping occasionally to admire the exotic wares in shop windows or chat with street vendors. To an untrained eye, she appeared to be exactly what her documentation claimed, a tourist exploring the wonders of an alien station. Look at her movement pattern, Vaxen pointed out. She's maintaining exactly optimal distances from all security sensors. Not too close to trigger proximity alerts, not too far to seem suspicious. She's mapping our surveillance grid. But, sir, Torvin Jex protested, our sensor locations are randomized daily. It's impossible to map them without access to central security protocols. Vaxen clicked his mandibles in amusement. You're thinking like a computer, not like a human. They don't need complete information to spot patterns. They evolved to find order in chaos, to see connections where none should exist. That's what makes them so dangerous. On screen, Amanda stopped at a food stall, ordering something that looked like blue cotton candy to human eyes, but was actually crystallized plasma treats. She chatted with the vendor, a six-armed Nexilian who seemed charmed by her interest in local cuisine. Audio feed, Vaxen ordered, ... Fascinating how you manipulate the plasma state, Amanda was saying, her voice carrying genuine enthusiasm. On Earth, we're just beginning to experiment with stable plasma containment for our fusion reactors. The way you've commercialized it for food production is brilliant. The Nexilian vendor preened at the compliment, his head tentacles curling with pleasure. Oh, it's just basic molecular gastronomy. Been in my family for generations. Would you like to see how it's made? I'd love to. Amanda's eyes lit up with what appeared to be childlike wonder. She's good, Lena Vor muttered. Really good. The best ones always are, Vaxen agreed. She's gathering intel on our plasma manipulation technology while appearing to be nothing more than an enthusiastic tourist. Notice how she's positioned herself so that the vendor's body blocks the primary security scanner. The team watched as Amanda spent exactly 7 minutes learning about plasma candy making, asking questions that seemed innocent, but systematically covered everything from power requirements to containment protocols. She left with a bag of treats and a wealth of information that would have taken military intelligence months to acquire. Sir, called out another analyst, she's visited 17 different establishments in the past 2 hours. Each one deals with a different aspect of our critical infrastructure, power generation, waste management, atmospheric processing, and I bet if we map her route, it forms some kind of pattern we can't quite grasp, Vaxen finished. Humans and their pattern recognition, they see structures in randomness that even our quantum computers can't detect. He studied the screen intently, watching as Amanda casually made her way toward the residential sector. Every movement seemed natural, unplanned, yet he knew better. Humans were masters of appearing harmless while being anything but. New orders, he announced. I want predictive modeling running on every possible destination in her current vector. Calculate all potential points of interest within a 2-kilometer radius. And someone get me access to her accommodations surveillance feeds. I want to know what she does when she thinks no one's watching. As his team scrambled to comply, Vaxen couldn't shake the feeling that they were already several steps behind. Humans had a saying that had become infamous in security circles across the galaxy. The best place to hide is in plain sight, Alara Voss was hiding something, all right. The question was, what would it cost them to find out what it was? "Chief, we have a problem." Ren Tox's voice cut through the quiet hum of the monitoring station. "The surveillance feeds from Rodriguez's quarters. They're showing her sleeping." And Vaxon turned, irritated at the interruption. "She's currently in Section 4D of the Commercial District." Vaxon's scales rippled with alarm. "Loop feed. She's feeding us a loop feed." "How long? Unknown, sir." The transition was seamless. No timestamp irregularities. No digital artifacts. "It's like she double quotes, sir. She somehow got our quantum encryption protocols." The security chief slammed a scaled hand on his console. "Impossible. Those protocols are coded into the fabric of reality itself. You can't hack quantum entanglement." "Apparently, humans can," Dax Lyran interjected, her crystalline form vibrating with anxiety. "Multiple sensors are now reporting conflicting data. She's simultaneously in 3 different locations." Vaxon watched the main display as 3 red dots pulsed in different sectors of the station. Each one showed perfectly convincing footage of Alara Voss going about tourist activities. In one, she was sampling exotic fruits at the botanical gardens. In another, she was attending a zero-gravity dance performance. In the third, she was taking a guided tour of the station's historical museum. Sir Torvin Jex called out, "I'm detecting unusual power fluctuations in the secondary maintenance tunnels. Pattern suggests someone's using our own security blind spots to move between sectors." "How?" "Those blind spots are randomized by quantum calculation every 3.7 seconds. Vaxon's mandibles clicked furiously. "No organic being can process that kind of data fast enough to double quotes." He stopped mid-sentence, a cold realization washing over him. "Unless they don't need to process it. Unless they can see the pattern in the randomness itself." Dispatching security teams to all 3 locations, Ren Tox announced, her antennae twitching with nervous energy. "Belay that order," Vaxon barked. "She wants us to split our forces. These appearances are decoys. Where haven't we looked? Where are we not seeing her?" The room fell silent as analysts frantically scanned their displays. Suddenly, Dax Lyran's crystalline form flashed bright with alarm. "The quantum core. There's a power surge in the quantum computing core." Vaxon felt his heart stop. The quantum core was the brain of their entire security system, if someone gained direct access. "All units to the quantum core now. Override all safety protocols." Maximum response. He was already moving, his hover chair discarded as he rushed toward the exit. Sir Torvin Jex called after him. "The maintenance shaft network. The power fluctuations. They form a pattern. Display it now." The main screen lit up with a map of the power surges. To most observers, they would appear random, meaningless. But as Vaxon stared at them, he began to see what his computers couldn't. The pattern was like a piece of music, a rhythm that played across the station's infrastructure. "She's not trying to hide her movements," he whispered. "She's dancing with our security system. Every surge, every blind spot, it's all part of a larger sequence. We're not catching up to her. We're following her choreography." Ren Tox finished, horror in her voice. The quantum core's security feed suddenly went dark. When they came back online 3 seconds later, Alara Voss was sitting cross-legged in front of the main console, grinning directly into the camera. "Good evening, Chief Vaxon Pell," she spoke, her voice carrying through every speaker in the security center. "I believe this is what humans call a checkmate. Shut down the core," Vaxon ordered. "Full system reset." "Already tried," Amanda replied cheerfully. "You'll find your quantum encryption has been, let's say, entangled with something a bit more complex than you intended. Did you know that human brains operate on quantum principles, too? We're just better at embracing the chaos." Vaxon watched, helpless, as system after system displayed the same message, "Protocol update in progress." His perfect, unbeatable security system was being rewritten before his eyes. "Don't worry," Amanda continued, still smiling. "I'm not here to damage anything, just making a few necessary adjustments. Consider it an upgrade." You really should have asked for human input when designing these systems, you know. We may be chaotic, but chaos has its own kind of order. You just need to know how to dance with it. The chase was over before it had really begun, and somehow, that was the most terrifying part of all. Vaxin Pell stood in the quantum core chamber, staring at Alara Voss with a mixture of fury and fascination. Security teams surrounded her, weapons drawn, but she remained perfectly relaxed, still sitting cross-legged on the floor. How he demanded, "How did you predict the quantum randomization?" Amanda's green eyes sparkled with amusement. "I didn't predict it. I listened to it. Your system sings, Chief Pell. Every fluctuation, every security cycle, every randomized pattern, it's like a symphony. You just never learned to hear the music. Impossible. Our quantum algorithms are beautiful," she interrupted. "Really, they are, but they're composed by beings who think order and chaos are opposites. Humans know better. We evolved on a planet where order and chaos dance together. Weather patterns, predator-prey cycles, plate tectonics. Surviving Earth meant learning to feel the rhythm and the randomness." Vaxin's analytical mind raced, pieces falling into place. "The shopping district, the vendors, you weren't gathering intel on infrastructure." "I was calibrating," Amanda nodded. "Each conversation, each interaction sent ripples through your surveillance network. The plasma candy vendor's power signature, the waste management system's processing cycles, the atmospheric regulators' feedback loops, all playing their parts in the quantum symphony." Seren Tox's voice came through his neural link. "Analysis of her movement patterns complete. They match the base frequency of our quantum encryption." "Of course they do," Amanda smiled. "Walking is just controlled falling. After all, each step I took was a note in the melody. Your system saw what it expected to see, a random tourist making random choices. But there's no such thing as true randomness, not really. There's only patterns too complex for you to comprehend." Vaxin felt his scales bristle. "The loop feeds, the multiple appearances, harmonics," she explained, gesturing with her hands like a conductor. "Once you understand the base rhythm of a system, you can play variations on the theme. Your quantum security is a perfect mathematical construct, but that's its weakness. Perfect mathematics can be predicted. Chaos has to be felt." The security chief sank into his haunches, a posture of deep thought among his species. "You've been inside our systems since the moment you arrived." "Before that," Amanda corrected, "the documentation, the perfect background, that wasn't meant to fool your background checks. It was meant to establish the first notes of the pattern. Everything since then has been building to this crescendo." "Why?" Vaxin asked. "Why show your hand now?" Amanda stood, brushing off her clothes with casual grace. The security teams tensed, but she paid them no attention. "Because the interstellar Concord needs to understand something fundamental about humans. You keep trying to protect yourselves from us by building better boxes, stronger walls, more complex locks. But humans, we don't break systems. Chief Pell, we dance with them." She walked to the quantum core's main display, her fingers trailing across the surface. Data streams responded to her touch like strings on an instrument, and your security protocols are being upgraded right now. Not with better encryption or stronger firewalls, but with controlled chaos, random elements that aren't random at all. Patterns that shift like sand dunes in a desert wind. You're teaching our systems to think like humans, Vaxin realized, his third heart beginning to race. "I'm teaching them to dance," she corrected. "The Interstellar Concord hired me to find weaknesses in your security. I found them all right. The weakness was thinking you could keep chaos out. Now your systems will embrace it, flow with it, use it." The displays around them flickered, data streams twisting into new configurations that somehow felt both ordered and wild. Vaxin watched as his perfect, predictable security system learned to improvise. "Welcome to the next stage of galactic security," Amanda said softly, "where protection doesn't come from perfect prediction, but from perfect adaptation. Just like on Earth, survival isn't about being the strongest or the most orderly. It's about learning to dance with the chaos." Vaxin looked at his console, watching as the new protocols rippled through the station's systems like waves through water. Each pattern was unique, unrepeatable, yet somehow harmonious. For the first time, he began to understand why humans called mathematics the universal language. They had simply learned to speak it with an accent shaped by chaos. Vaxon dismissed his security teams, leaving him alone with Amanda in the quantum core chamber. The human sat at the main control interface, her fingers dancing across the holographic displays as she fine-tuned her modifications. "The Galactic Security Council won't be pleased," he said, watching her work. "They prefer their solutions to be predictable." Amanda laughed, a sound that echoed through the chamber like musical notes. "And how's that working out for them? 3 major security breaches in the past year alone. The Proxima incident, the Sirius bypass, the Tau Ceti infiltration, all because your systems were too predictable. Those incidents are classified," Vaxon said sharply. "How do you but they're part of the pattern," she replied, not looking up from her work. "Your responses, your patches, your upgrades, each one making your security more rigid, more structured. Like adding more bars to a cage while ignoring the spaces between them. The screens around them pulsed with new data streams, patterns that made Vaxon's head spin when he tried to follow them. "Show me," he demanded. "Show me how you see these patterns." Amanda turned to face him, her green eyes serious now. "You sure about that, Chief? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It might change how you view everything. I need to understand." She nodded and stood, moving to the center of the room. With a gesture, she called up a 3-dimensional representation of the station's security grid. "Watch carefully. I'm going to slow it down, make it visible to non-human perception." The hologram shifted, security patterns flowing like currents in an ocean. Amanda moved through them, her movements precise and deliberate. "See how the quantum fluctuations create nodes, points where probabilities converge. Those are our security checkpoints," Vaxon confirmed. "No," Amanda corrected. "Those are where you put your checkpoints, because that's where you think probabilities converge. But watch the spaces between them." She waved her hand, and suddenly Vaxon saw it. Between the official security nodes, smaller patterns danced and swirled, creating pathways that his systems had never detected. "The quantum field isn't just about the points where particles might be," Amanda explained. "It's about the journey between those points. Humans understand this instinctively because we're creatures of movement, of transition. We don't just see the destinations, we see the paths between them. But our computers, the quantum calculations, they are looking for specific answers," she finished. "But the real security isn't in the answers, it's in the questions themselves. Watch this." Amanda made another gesture, and the security grid transformed. Now it moved like a living thing, patterns shifting and flowing in response to simulated threats. When an intrusion was detected, the system didn't just block it, it danced with it, redirecting and dispersing the threat through countless quantum pathways. "This is how Earth's nature handles threats," she explained. "A river doesn't stop a boulder by being harder than stone. It flows around it, incorporates it, makes it part of the pattern. Your new security system will do the same thing." Vaxon watched, mesmerized, as Amanda demonstrated scenario after scenario. Cyberattacks, physical intrusions, quantum hacks. Each one met not with rigid resistance, but with fluid adaptation. "The most secure prison in the galaxy," she said softly, "isn't the one with the strongest walls. It's the one where every escape route leads right back to the center, like a quantum maze that rearranges itself with every step. You've turned our security system into a predator," Vaxon realized. "No," Amanda shook her head. "I've turned it into an ecosystem. Predators can be outsmarted. Ecosystems, they just absorb whatever you throw at them and make it part of the dance." She turned to face him fully. "This is why humans are so good at survival, Chief Pell. We don't try to impose order on chaos, we learn from it. Every extinction event on Earth, every natural disaster, every challenge, they all taught us that survival isn't about being unchangeable. It's about being adaptable." The implications hit Vaxon like a gravity wave. "You're not just upgrading our security, You're teaching it to evolve. Amanda's smile was both brilliant and slightly unsettling. Now you're getting it. Welcome to the future of galactic security, Chief Pell. I hope you're ready to learn some new dance steps to cycles later. Vaxon stood before the Galactic Security Council, Amanda at his side. The massive chamber held representatives from 50 different species, all waiting to hear his report on the security system's radical transformation. Distinguished council members, he began, his scales gleaming under the chamber's lights. I stand before you to present not just an upgrade to our security protocols, but a fundamental shift in how we approach galactic defense. The council leader, a towering Zentarian named Zaxmor, leaned forward. You allowed a human to rewrite our most secure systems without authorization. Chief Pell, explain why we shouldn't have you removed from your post. Because he recognized what you all need to see. Amanda stepped forward, her voice carrying unexpected authority, that the greatest threat to galactic security isn't external. It's our own inability to adapt. She waved her hand, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing the new security metrics. In the past 2 cycles, attempted breaches have dropped by 94%. The remaining 6% were caught and redirected so smoothly that most attackers believe they succeeded while actually operating in contained quantum simulations. Impossible, growled an Exilian representative. No system can achieve those numbers, no static system, Amanda corrected. But a living one that evolves. Look at the data streams. Every attack makes the system stronger, more adaptive. It learns, grows, dances with the chaos instead of fighting it. Vaxon watched as understanding slowly dawned on the council members' faces. The numbers were undeniable. The new security protocols weren't just effective, they were revolutionary. There's more, he added, mandibles clicking with barely contained excitement. Show them, Amanda. She nodded and brought up a new display. While the system was evolving, it discovered something. Patterns in subspace that we never noticed before. Communications that shouldn't exist. The chamber erupted in murmurs as data streams revealed thousands of hidden quantum transmissions crisscrossing galactic space. The Shadow Net, Amanda announced, a quantum communications network that's been operating under your sensors for decades. Used by smugglers, spies, and worse. Your old systems couldn't see it because they were looking for disruptions in order. The new system sees it because it understands chaos. Zaxmor's bioluminescent patches pulsed with alarm. And you've known about this Shadow Net for how long? Amanda's smile turned razor sharp. Since before I arrived. That was my real mission. The Terran Intelligence Service discovered the Shadow Net 6 months ago. But rather than shut it down, we saw an opportunity. The Interstellar Concord needed to understand why their security kept failing. What better way than to show you? The revelation hit the chamber like a supernova. Vaxon saw the moment the council realized the full implications. The human hadn't just been testing their security. She'd been setting up the biggest sting operation in galactic history. As we speak, Amanda continued, Joint Human Union task forces are moving against 37 major criminal organizations. Their leadership never realized their secure communications were being monitored by a system that could dance through quantum chaos as easily as they could. And the security upgrades, asked a council member, real, necessary, and just the beginning, she replied. Earth is offering full partnership in developing the next generation of adaptive security protocols. After all, we evolved dodging predators and surviving disasters. Who better to teach galactic civilization how to dance with chaos? Vaxon stepped forward again. The council has a choice. We can return to our old methods, building bigger walls until someone finds a way through them, or we can embrace this new paradigm. Learn from the species that turned survival into an art form. The chamber fell silent as the council processed everything. Finally, Zaxmor spoke. It seems we have underestimated our human allies again. Chief Pell, you and Ms. Rodriguez will oversee the implementation of these new protocols across all Union security systems. As the council chamber emptied, Vaxon turned to Amanda. You played us all perfectly, like a quantum symphony. Not played, She corrected, green eyes twinkling. Dance with, that's the secret humans learned long ago, Chief. Life isn't about controlling the music, it's about moving in harmony with it. She handed him a data crystal. Here's your first dance lesson. Try to keep up. Vaxon took the crystal, realizing that the real revolution was just beginning. The galaxy was about to learn a new rhythm, taught by the species that had turned chaos itself into a partner in the endless dance of survival. In the quantum core below, the new security systems pulsed and flowed, writing their own music in the language of probability and possibility. The dance had begun.